Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a special holiday edition here for my NFL videos, guys. Happy holidays. It is upon us. We are at that time of the year. And man, football going crazy this week, right? We got 2 games going down on Christmas Day, another Thursday night football game as per usual, 3 more games on Saturday, full slate on Sunday with the Sunday night game, and then our typical Monday night football to finish out week 17. The NFL is showing us some love, and I appreciate it, man. Ain't nothing better than NFL football. But I'm going to slice my videos into 2 this week. Going to do a 2-part video. This is obviously part 1. We're going to be going over the 2 games on Christmas Day plus that Thursday night game. But before we dive into those, let's go ahead and take a look back at week 16, how that ended up going down. And man, for the second straight week, we go 5-3. For the second straight week, we do end the day on a profitable note. Over 1.5 units on the day. So that puts us at a 68-49-1 record on the season. We are up 16.73 units on the season. I love to see that, man, but I love to just keep stacking up on that. Like I say every week, man, let's go ahead and stack up on those units and have another profitable week. That way, when we look back at week 17 on week 18, hopefully we just see a bunch of green check marks down that board again, man. So kind of funny, week 16, I hit all the single bets, and then I lost all 3 of the parlays I put in, man. So maybe we just stick to straight bets? Probably not, right? So let's go ahead and dive into week 17's action. Like I said, going to go over those 2 Christmas Day games, then that Thursday night game. So let's go ahead and jump over to Outlier for the first pick. That first play I'm going to be looking at is going to be the Chiefs and the Steelers kicking off at 1 p.m. Christmas Day in Pittsburgh. I'm looking at the Steelers plus 3 points. I can get that at minus 115 right there at DraftKings or at BetMGM. Man, let's just take a look right here at this insight right off the rip. We can see the Chiefs are 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games as a favorite. They've been winning, right? But they have not been covering this year. That is a fact. We can see, too, that Outlier expects this one to have some positive EV, so we love to see that anytime that pops up. Let's look at the Steelers at home with this specific number, man. They are 5-0 with just 1 push in there when they lost to the Cowboys by exactly 3 points. So they're looking good against this specific number, this 3 points, right? And like I said, the Chiefs just have not been a covering team this year, although they sit at, 14-1? Absurd, man. They've just won so many close 1-possession games and had a lot of breaks, man. A lot of bounces go their way. I'm not jumping on that whole the refs win all the games for the Chiefs things. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, in football, you need some lucky bounces, man. You need luck on your side at times. It's a lot of skill, it's a lot of talent, it's a lot of scheme, it's a lot of this, that, and the other strategy. But you got to have a little luck, man. And the Chiefs have had a little more than a little luck here in this through 15 games this season, sitting at 14-1. Can think of just countless times this season where it looked like they were about to lose the game, man, and they just get that bounce that goes their way. You know what I mean? So definitely been a year for the Chiefs. However, it's been a good season for the Steelers as well, man, and they face some injuries here. Let's look at their schedule as a whole, and yeah, they are coming off 2 straight losses, right? 27-13 to the Eagles, 34-17 to the Ravens. Both of these were on the road. Both of these are against high-powered offenses, so I'm not too concerned with the amount of points that they gave up in those games, right? Because you look at them the rest of the year, and this has been a stout defense. Let's go ahead and scroll on down and look at those numbers real quick. They're averaging or giving up just under 20 points per game. That's still tied for 6th in the league, and that's a little inflated with these last 2 weeks even, you know what I mean? So I definitely like Pittsburgh here, and I like the fact that they have players coming back from injury. I think that is just really key. Let's go ahead and scroll down. They had a lot of injuries on the defensive side that they dealt with for a few weeks there, and they're looking pretty good on that side, save for the fact that Joey Porter is out. So that definitely hurts, but they do have a solid secondary back there. I think that they can, obviously it hurts, but I think that they can make up for that. And the Chiefs have not been explosive on the offensive end by any means. The biggest thing here is we don't see George Pickens listed anymore. He was questionable. He is not even on the injury report now, which is a beautiful thing for these Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, Russell Wilson especially, he thrives with Pickens on the field. So he has 195 dropbacks with Pickens on the field so far this season. In those 195 dropbacks, he has a QBR of 67, 29 completions of 20 or more yards. And he's averaging just under 8 yards per passing attempt without Pickens on the field. So there's only, it's a smaller sample size, 70 dropbacks, but his QBR drops more, it cuts more than in half, right? He's sitting at 32 for QBR without Pickens out there. Only 6 completions of 20 yards or more. His yards per attempt drops down to 6.8 or 6.3, excuse me. So Pickens definitely being on the field helps Russell Wilson out tremendously. It just helps the Steelers' offense as a whole because he provides a deep threat that they just don't really have without him. All right, so Pickens on the year, 14 catches for 474 yards on just deep targets alone. The rest of the Steelers, they have only 9 catches on deep ball targets combined for 276 yards total. So, Pickens obviously plays a huge factor into this offense. Him returning, I think, does give Kansas City some troubles, right? I think that Pittsburgh is able to move the ball here against this Kansas City defense. And I think that that right there is the kind of the game changer in this situation. Without Pickens on the field, I probably lean in the Kansas City direction. With Pickens out there, I'm flipping back to Pittsburgh here. I could see Pittsburgh winning this one outright. I really could. But both teams have a lot to play for here. Kansas City is still playing for that number 1 seed, so it's not like they're going to come in here and just roll over. Pittsburgh's fighting for the AFC North, man. It looked like they had control of it a couple weeks back. With that loss to Baltimore, they now are tied with the Ravens. Both of them are sitting at 10-5. Pittsburgh loses this one and Baltimore beats Houston. Man, Baltimore leapfrogs them. They're now in the 3rd seed in the AFC. They're now in control of the AFC North. So Pittsburgh definitely wants to get this game. No other way to cut it. And looking at Kansas City, man, they kind of nickel and dime you on offense. You know what I mean? They got a league best 39 drives with 10-plus yards, or plays of 10-plus yards or more, right? They sit at 26th when it comes to, big play situations, 26th overall in terms of plays that result in 20-plus yards or more. So this Steelers defense, they sit at 11th for yards per play. We can go ahead and scroll on down and find that, or I guess we're going to scroll up. Right, look at this matchup here. Yeah, the Steelers defense, yards per play, sitting at 11th right there, right? You can flip it over there to the Kansas City offense and see that they're tied for 22nd in the league in terms of yards per play. You're not going to nickel and dime this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You're going to have to figure out a way to get some big plays through the air against them. That's where they're a little more susceptible to some damage. 20th in terms of passing yards on that defensive side. They are 7th against the run. And the Chiefs are just kind of middle of the pack in both of these, right? They are obviously a better passing unit than a rushing team. But still, it's just not been the Kansas City Chiefs explosive offensive performance this season that we've come to expect from them. I do, man. I think that the Steelers can take advantage of all this. And the biggest factor in this, man, now this is not discrediting the Kansas City coaching staff by any means, because Andy Reid is a dog, right? One of the best coaches of all time. However, on that Pittsburgh Steelers side is also one of the best coaches of all time, man, in my opinion. He has never had a losing season in all these years with Pittsburgh. We're at home here in Pittsburgh in a game with playoff implications. They've lost 2 straight. Tomlin is 24-12 against the spread after a loss. So, man, give me the Steelers here all day. Steelers +3, that's my first play of the day. Then next up, I'm looking at a 2-leg parlay. We're going to be looking at that Baltimore Ravens at Houston Texans game, kicking off at 4:30 p.m. Christmas Day. I'm going to take a 2-leg parlay here. I'm going to take the Ravens on the money line, and I'm going to take a total alternate. Right? I'm going to look at the under. I'm going to look at it under 53.5. Now, I can put that in over there at FanDuel. It's going to give me -109 odds. Now, the big thing for me here, coming to this conclusion, looking over this game, a couple different things here. Houston's just ravished by injuries, man, especially at that wide receiver position. You got your top 2 receivers now with Tank Dell going down. Man, that was a brutal injury. Horrible to see. You hate to see it, man. Unfortunately, that is the game of football, but anytime it happens, obviously it puts a sick feeling in your stomach, right? So not what you want to see there. Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs, both on injured reserve, both with ACL injuries, man. So definitely unfortunate there. Just kind of leaves them with a lack of firepower, and if you look at them on the season, they haven't been the Texans have just been wildly inconsistent, in my opinion. Everybody expected them to take a huge jump this year, kind of be in that top tier of teams. And they've definitely been a solid team still, but we have not seen them really take that extra leap, right, and jump into that, like, elite contender status, you know what I mean? Does that mean that they can't get into the playoffs and make some noise? Absolutely not. This is still a very, very good team with a very good defense and a solid, solid quarterback, right? CJ Stroud is phenomenal. But with all that said, these injuries hurt. And historically, man, the Ravens have had the Texans' number. Okay, they've won 5 straight head-to-head now. They've won 8 of the last 10 against this Houston Texan team as well, head-to-head. Let's go ahead and look at that under 53.5. When we take that as an alternate, right, we can see down here on the season, both of these teams are hitting under that mark at an 80% rate. The Ravens have hit 5 straight times. The Texans have hit, what, 8 of the last 9 to this number. So you got to love that, man. Definitely plays in our favor for that parlay that we're looking at. So I definitely like that there. Let's go ahead and hop back over here. Look at that money line real quick. Look at this insight from Outlier. We can see the Ravens are 20-6 in their last 26 games as a favorite. That's a 77% hit rate over 26 games. So I'd love to see that there, man. Both teams very solid. I just think that the Ravens come into this one healthier. You know what I mean? And the thing for the Ravens, right, all year, I mean, you can see this offense has been dominating. 3rd in the league overall in scoring. First in red zone efficiency. It's like top 5 in damn near every category, right? First in red zone efficiency, 3rd for 3rd down conversions, 2nd for 1st down, 5th in passing yards, 2nd in rushing yards, 1st in yards per play, and sitting at 3rd in terms of turnovers. You can't get to Lamar Jackson, right? We're sitting at 3rd in terms of sacks there. So, and I mean, like I said, this is a good Houston Texans defense, only 9th or sitting at 9th in terms of scoring, only giving up 21 points a game. They're 6th and 11th in terms of passing and rushing yards. Basically, this is a damn good Baltimore offense, and this is a good Houston Texans defense, right? I think the thing is that a lot of people looking at the Ravens are like, well, that defense isn't what it was, and it's not. Definitely not. But in the last 5 games now, this defense is ranking in the top 10, right? And Houston, their offensive line, to be more specific, sits in the bottom 5. So I could definitely see the Ravens getting after CJ Stroud. And with his lack of firepower, man, the lack of weapons down the field, I think we see a little bit of some struggles from them, right? So I think the Ravens get the better of them here. I think that they have the advantage. And not only did we see Tank Dell go down with injury, we saw safety Jimmy Ward carted off the field last week for the Texans. We saw their guard Shaq Mason leave in the first quarter with a knee injury. He did not return. So the injuries are just starting to pack up for this Houston Texans team. So I definitely think that the Ravens come away with the win. And then we can look at this under just a little bit more one more time. Like I said, man, 8 out of the last 9 for the Texans, 7 of the last 8 now for the Ravens have gone underneath of this mark here. I think the Ravens put some points up, but I think that Houston, I think they struggle here in this one. And I don't think that, I think that Baltimore can kind of run the clock out more or less in the second half after they already built up a multiple possession lead. So I would be comfortable. Like I said, man, I think that the Ravens are going to win this one. I think that you could take them on the spread and take it comfortably. I just like it a lot better combining it together with this alternate under here. Me personally, Ravens on the money line. I think that that's kind of a shoe-in, right? I think that that's a good pick right there. And then the under 53.5, we can see the proof is in the numbers. It's definitely hitting at an 80% rate for both of these teams through the course of the entire season. So that's my second pick. Ravens money line plus a total alternate under 53.5. You can put that in at FanDuel at -109. Next up, I'm going to be looking at a team total, looking at that Thursday night game, the Seahawks at the Chicago Bears, Soldier Field action. Man, I'm looking at the Seahawks over 23.5 points. You can get that at -110 over there at DraftKings. Now, looking at this on the year, they've only hit at a 53% rate, 8 out of the 15 games, so a little more than half the time, right? They've been inconsistent on offense, but in those last 4 games, 24, 13-point outing against that Green Bay Packer defense, but then 30 points and 26 points before that. So they're trending in the right direction for the most part there. The thing for me there, let's go ahead and scroll down and look at these teams against each other, right? Now, the Bears defense, it feels like they started the season off really hot, man. They played really well, but they've kind of come back down to earth, okay? So, and it looks like here, like the Seahawks, they're sitting at 4th in terms of passing yards. They can take advantage of this 23rd ranked passing defense there on Chicago. And the Seahawks like to pass the ball. They pass the ball at a 64% rate, versus the run. So It's definitely their bread and butter and where they want to be. Seattle is in a must-win spot, right? And initially looking at this game, I was looking at the Seahawks on the money line. I looked at them on the spread to see if there was any value in either of those. But the more I dug into it, the more this game kind of felt like it had the elements to be a trap game. A loss in this game here eliminates Seattle from the playoffs. So they got to get this one, right? And, if they get this one, that could set up a potential showdown with the Rams the last week of the season for the NFC West title. So a lot on the line in this one. The Bears have lost 9 straight. It's like all things point towards Seattle, right? And in those situations, it gets a little scary. So that's where I'm just kind of like, I'm going to back off of this. I'm going to start looking at the total. So when I did that, let's go ahead and jump back just a little bit here. Let's look at the Bears in their last, 4 or 5 games. We can see, man, they've given up a lot of points. Like I said, that defense started off the season pretty hot, man. Playing really good football. Now 34, 30, 38, 23, 30. So 4 of the last 5 games, they've gone over 30 points, right, that they've allowed. So definitely playing in our favor there. They're giving up an average of 31 points per game in the last 5. They're giving up just under 27 points per game during this 9-game losing streak. So all things considered here, I think that's the best play. Definitely not looking at the Bears on the money line. Definitely not. But yeah, like I said, we'll go ahead and scroll right on back over here. Let's get that Seahawks over 23.5. That's minus 110 at DraftKings. So I think that's my favorite play for this game specifically here. So that's what I'm going to be rolling with. All right, then I'm going to be looking at a couple player props before we get out of here today. I'm looking at Noah Gray of the Chiefs, his receptions over 1.5. Now, he is the backup tight end. It's not easy being the backup tight end to a future Hall of Famer, right? But Noah Gray has had a good season, man. The best season of his career so far. He's hit at this rate, or hit over this mark at a 73% rate on the season, 11 of 15 games now. A lot of green up there, right? And kind of cleared this number pretty handily a few times, right? Or more than a few times. There's a lot of 4s up here. What's that? 6 different times he's gotten 4 receptions. We just need him to get 2 in this one. So I definitely like that. We're looking at this insight from Outlier. We can see that he's exceeded 1.5 receptions in 6 straight games now on the road, which they will be against Pittsburgh. And you can see Pittsburgh, man, they're 14th overall in terms of receptions allowed, but against tight ends specifically, that jumps up to 25. So definitely a good look there for Noah Gray. And we can see down here that, he is the 4th most targeted receiver on this team. You got Travis Kelce, obviously, like I said, tight end number 1, future Hall of Famer. He is the number 1 targeted receiver. Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, Noah Gray's right there underneath of those 3. So I like his chances of getting 2 catches against a team that kind of does struggle against the tight ends and allowing receptions there. So I'm going to take this one here, Noah Gray, over 1.5, minus 120 over there at Bet365. Then next up, I'm going to be looking at my guy, Joe Mixon. Man, I miss him in stripes. Having a great season, man. I'm super happy for him. Hopefully the Texans can do a little damage in the playoffs. Like I said earlier, I'm not too sure about that, but we'll see. Anyways, looking at Joe Mixon, over 17.5 receiving yards. It's minus 125 over there at BetMGM right now. Let's go ahead and scroll down and look a little bit here at the numbers. We can see this insight from Outlier. We're looking at this at 17.5. This inside is set at 18.5, and he's exceeded that mark in 8 of his last 10 games versus bottom 10 defenses for receiving yards allowed. He's actually averaging just under 33 receiving yards per game in those instances. So we definitely like that there. He's averaging on the season, right, on 2024, he's averaging on the season 24.25 receiving yards per game, and he's hit over this mark at a 75% rate 9 of the last 12 games. Now, a big reason I like this one is, like we said earlier, man, those injuries, right? No Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs. Let's scroll on down and look at the targets. Nico Collins, Tank's not in there. Dalton Schultz, Stephon Diggs, he's not in there. Joe Mixon. So now all of a sudden, Joe Mixon is the 3rd most targeted player on this Houston Texans offense, right? And he's not like he's shabby out of the backfield, man. Let's look at him head-to-head. Now, both of these games are going to be with the Bengals, but he cleared the mark easily. 36 receiving yards against the Ravens back in September of last year. And then November of last year, he sits at 31. So he's had his success against the Ravens over the years. Man, he's a phenomenal back. And then look at the Ravens. We talked about how their defense has stepped up here in the last 5 games or so, right? They have struggled against running backs. They've given up their 31st in terms of receiving yards allowed. Out of the backfield, they're sitting at 30th in terms of receiving yards allowed, giving up strictly to that running back position. So we just need him to hit 18 here. No, I think with the pass rush and the pressure that CJ Stroud will be facing in this game, with the lack of weapons, lack of firepower, I could envision quite a few dump offs to the tight end, to Schultz, and then to Joe Mixon as well. So I think we see Joe get up over this 17 and a half receiving yard mark pretty easily. So, guys, that is going to wrap it up here for the first part of our week 17 videos here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on anything. And also, I've been meaning to tell you guys, I forgot for probably the last 3 videos now. I did start an Instagram page. It's going to be under Trey Picks. Unfortunately, Trey Picks with the S was taken already, so I had to roll with the Z. So Trey Picks with a Z. You'll be able to find me on Instagram. I'm trying to throw plays up there daily. I've missed a couple days maybe in the last few weeks, but for the most part, throwing plays up there on a regular for college basketball. Here and there with the NBA. I don't dabble too much with the NBA, but definitely a lot of college basketball picks going down over on my Instagram page, as well as Thursday night football. My video comes out later in the week, but I do like, I bet every day, so I try to throw some plays up there as well on the Instagram for the Thursday night games. And like I said, NBA, anything else that I see that I like, if I put it in myself, I'm going to throw it up on the Instagram. That way you guys have access to it as well. So go ahead and make sure you hit follow over there. That way you get access to all of the plays that I am running on a daily basis. And it's all free, man. I'm never going to charge you for anything like that because what's the point, man? We're all in this to get a little bit of bread, right? So hope everybody has a great holiday. Have a fantastic time with your families. I hope that you guys get time off work, get enough time to relax and chill, and have a good time with the fam, man. That's what it's all about this time of year. And we get to watch football as a bonus, right? Let's go. Let's go. So have a great Sunday, man. Well, shit, it's not Sunday. Have a great week 17, a great start to week 17. Let's cash out. And I will see you guys at the end of the week, man. And we'll do this again for the second half of this week 17 action. Peace out, guys.